Hi, it's me. Number 10, the sloth's super slow metabolism. Sloths have one of the slowest metabolisms of any mammal in the world. This means that their bodies process food and burn calories at a very slow rate, which allows them to survive on a diet of mostly leaves and fruit, which are low in nutrients and calories. Their metabolism is so slow that sloths only need to eat about 18 calories per day. That's less than a small apple. In fact, if you wanted to match a sloth's diet, you would have to eat about 4 pounds of leaves every day. And because of their slow metabolism, sloths don't need to drink water nearly as often as other animals do. They can get all the hydration they need from the plants they eat. The downside to having such a slow metabolism is that it also means that sloths are very slow-moving creatures. If your metabolism were as slow as a sloth's, you could barely move from one room to another in your house in an entire day. Number 9. What are those fluffy dumbbells? If you look closely at a sloth, you might notice that they seem to be carrying around 2 furry gray or brown spheres. These are not actually extra eyes like some people have said. These little balls are simply the remnants of their ancestors' tails. Over millions of years, the tails became so small that they basically disappeared. But in some cases, the skin around the base of the tail remained, creating the illusion of a pair of fluffy gray or brown eyeballs dangling from the end of their rumps. Number 8. How do they get around? As I mentioned before, sloths are incredibly slow on the ground. In fact, they can only move at about 6 meters or 20 feet per minute when traveling on the ground. So how do they get from tree to tree without getting run over by a jaguar or some other Central American predator? Sloths don't leap from branch to branch like monkeys. Instead, when they want to move from one tree to another, they literally fall and then use their claws to catch hold of the next tree and pull themselves up. When falling from a tree, sloths can free fall for over 100 feet. Luckily for them, their bodies are aerodynamic, so they don't get hurt when taking these big jumps. Number 7. What's a good sloth's best friend? When you think of sloths, you probably imagine them hanging out in trees with other slow-moving tree dwellers like tree frogs and chameleons. But surprisingly, sloths have nothing to do with reptiles. Even though they live in trees and move very slowly, sloths are actually mammals. In fact, they are more closely related to fast-moving land mammals, like dogs and horses, than they are to the reptiles they share their habitats with. The reason sloths spend so much time in trees is because that's where their food is. But they aren't particularly good at climbing. That's why you see them hanging upside down from branches while they hang there. Their knees bend backwards, just like ours do, but their ankles are also bent backwards. This allows them to grasp branches with their feet and hands and hang from them while they digest their food. No. 6. Why don't sloths get bitten by mosquitoes? Mosquitoes love biting humans and other mammals. But surprisingly, sloths are rarely bitten by these pesky insects. Even when researchers have set up nets full of mosquitoes around sloth habitats, the insects barely pay any attention to the sloths. Scientists believe this is because of the unique smell of sloth skin. Sloths secrete a strong-smelling oil from glands near their back legs. This oil makes their skin feel waxy to the touch. It's not dangerous, but it seems to keep mosquitoes away. Number 5. What do sloths eat? What do you think a creature that spends most of its life in trees and moves very slowly eats? If you guessed salads, you'd be wrong. Surprisingly, sloths aren't herbivores. They only eat leaves, buds, and fruit from certain trees. These trees usually grow near water sources, which is important for the sloths because even though they don't drink much water, they do need to stay hydrated. Leaves make up about 85% of a sloth's diet. And although leaves don't have much nutritional value, sloths are able to digest them thanks to the help of bacteria living in their guts. As I mentioned before, sloths also eat fruit, but they rarely eat the same fruit twice. They seem to prefer a variety of wild fruits, including mistletoe berries, wild limes, passion fruits, figs, and guavas. Some scientists speculate that sloths eat so many different kinds of fruit in order to spread their seeds in different areas. Number 4. Where do sloths live? Surprisingly, there are two main groups of sloths. There are 3 species of two-toed sloths, which are found in both Northern and South America. Meanwhile, the 3 species of three-toed sloths are only found in South America. Even though sloths live in the same region, you won't find them hanging out together. Two-toed sloths live in southern Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Brazil, French Guiana, Guyana, Suriname, and Venezuela. Three-toed sloths, on the other hand, can be found in Bolivia, Brazil, Ecuador, French Guiana, Guyana, Panama, Peru, Suriname, Trinidad, and Venezuela. All of these countries have plenty of tropical forests for the sloths to call home. But this will soon change because humans are cutting down lots of trees to make room for farmland, cities, and roads. In fact, between 2003 and 2017, Central America lost 32% of its tree cover. This means that unless things change, sloths could become extinct within the next 100 years. No. 3. Do they have any natural enemies? One of the reasons sloths are so slow is because they've evolved to avoid predators. Many sloths' fur is a mottled brown color that helps them blend into tree bark. This camouflage keeps jaguars, eagles, harpy, eagles, anacondas, serpents, and humans from spotting them. Humans may not be deadly predators, but it turns out we are sloths' worst enemy. Humans destroy sloth habitats and hunt them for their fur. But even when sloths are killed, they can't escape their slowness. One sloth hunter in Brazil, named Ruan Santos, was recorded on video taking a whole hour and a half to kill a sloth. He shot the animal 5 times and hit it with a machete several times, but the sloth just kept on living. This goes to show just how resilient and slow these creatures really are. Number 2. Sloth babies. Like most mammals, female sloths give birth to one baby at a time. These babies, known as slothlets, are born with their eyes open and are covered in a downy body hair that keeps them warm. Newborn sloths can see and hear just fine, but they are completely helpless. Slothlets must ride on their mother's bellies until they are about 6 months old. That's when they start to develop the strength necessary to climb on their own. Speaking of strength, slothlets can't hang upside down until they are 10 months old. Even then, they still need their mom's help. At 10 months old, a mother sloth will let her baby ride on her back while she moves through the forest. By the time they are 18 months old, most slothlets are fully independent. However, they will continue to nurse from their mothers for up to 2 years. No. 1. Their unique claws, sloth claws, are unlike the claws of any other animal on Earth. You've probably never seen a cat or dog with claws like these before. But if you look at a sloth's foot, you'll see that their claws are long, curved, and grow in the opposite direction. This means that instead of swiping with their claws, sloths can grasp branches with their toes. Now you know why they can hang from trees and fall 100 feet without breaking any bones. Thanks for watching. See you next time.